Huan found a beautiful feather. It turned out to be from the spirit bird. This was the first time they met. The spirit bird was captured by the people of Lich Kingdom to be presented as a gift to the Emperor of An Kingdom. This bird species comes from a very far place. They have beautiful wings and can fly thousands of miles. It is said that just by plucking its tongue, this spirit bird can speak human language. The Emperor wanted to pluck the bird's tongue himself. He opened his eyes wide without any fear. A terrifying scream echoed throughout the palace. Huan was scared and got his hand cut. At the same time, the queen gave birth to Prince Fu. In the future, you must take care of your younger brother. You are royal siblings, so you must help each other. Where is your father? I don't know. I haven't seen him since I finished my morning greeting. Huan saw a light shining from afar. It turned out to be the birdcage that his father built for the spirit bird. The leopard cub was also a gift from Lich Kingdom to Huan. That night, the leopard cub ran away from home to play. Huan discovered and hurriedly ran after it. Huan happily ran on the rooftops. It turned out the leopard cub ran to the spirit bird's birdcage. This was the first time Huan saw the birdcage. This place was as beautiful as a fairyland. The trees were lush, hundreds of flowers were blooming, especially there were many luminous stones illuminating the night sky. Huan saw his father, who was chatting and laughing with the spirit bird. It was heartbreaking because until now, his father had never laughed like that with Huan. Suddenly, the spirit bird and Huan made eye contact. Huan was startled and hurriedly ran away. Huan returned to his palace. Maid Yuyanni was scared because she was worried. Huan told her he had seen the spirit bird. Yuyanni was trembling. She heard that thing had a terrifying face, large wings that could cover the entire sky. The most terrifying thing was that it ate human flesh, especially women and children. The prince should not go like that anymore. Huan started looking for books about the spirit bird. Seeing that Huan was not focused on learning the zither today, Master Tuk asked Huan if he had something on his mind. He could talk to him. Master Tuk was Huan's zither teacher. His eyes were gradually losing light, but he was not sad. His joy was still being able to hear sounds and play the zither. According to rumors, the spirit bird had a fierce face, could fly thousands of miles, and ate the flesh of women and children. But the rumors were completely different from what Huan witnessed. The spirit bird was not scary at all, but extremely beautiful. Its feathers were like a fairy scene, and the king even smiled happily with the spirit bird. Mr. Tuk advised Huan to find out for himself, and to believe in what he saw and felt. I am Huan, you are Nok, right, is the name the king gave. Huan just talked to himself, while the spirit bird remained silent. Huan asked about the things written in the books. What is tongue peeling? Does it hurt? Aren't you afraid? Even though it was locked in an iron cage, the spirit bird was very leisurely, eating fruit while listening to Huan's incessant questions. Is it true that you eat human flesh as written in the book? Is it true that you can live up to 400 years? After finishing eating, the spirit bird dropped the peach pit to the ground. Seeing the spirit bird not talking, Huan was sad. Can't you talk, or don't you want to talk to me? Indeed, even you don't want to care about me. Suddenly, the spirit bird took off its outer coat and revealed its large wings. Then it flew up to the top of the iron cage, used two hands to bend the iron bars, and flew out. Huan was shocked to the point of silence. The spirit bird proudly stood on top of the iron cage facing the moon, taking deep breaths. Then it smiled contentedly when it saw Huan staring at it with wide, trembling eyes. The next morning, Huan excitedly told Mr. Tuk about the previous night. Mr. Tuk asked him what he did after going out. Did he harm the child? Huan saw the spirit bird standing on top of the cage, as if it was eating the moonlight. Mr. Tuk saw the spirit bird easily escape but voluntarily go back into the cage. This spirit bird has its own thoughts. Huan thought maybe it found it very interesting. Because it lived up to 400 years, it had been to many places, seen many things. So now it found it fun to be in the cage and didn't want to leave. However, only the spirit bird knew the truth, because it refused to talk to Huan. Another night, Huan came to the spirit bird again. Huan wondered if the king had ever heard him speak. Suddenly, Huan saw the leopard cub here. Huan hurriedly ran to call the leopard cub to return, fearing the spirit bird would eat it. But the leopard cub was very close to him, ungrateful. Suddenly, he saw a peach tree in bloom. It had sprouted from where the bird had discarded a seed the day before. How could it germinate and grow so quickly? As he was wondering, the bird arrived carrying a kitten. He was startled and fell backwards. The bird released the kitten and returned to him, then disappeared into the cage. He sat admiring the bird's feathers. She saw him drawing a beautiful picture of the bird and hoped that he would draw one for her next time. Today, his servant was replaced by a new one. He asked where the old servant had gone. She replied with a strange expression that she had made a mistake and was being punished. His father came to check on his studies. As usual, he scolded him. He told him to study the national books and discuss them with him, not to waste his time on these 3 useless things. He ordered the servants to take good care of the prince, or they would be punished. The queen was so angry that she vomited blood because the king visited the bird every day and neglected her and her son. The servant was worried that she would be the next one to be punished. She said she would watch the prince and not let him visit the bird anymore. Recently, the servants who made mistakes were taken away to be fed to the bird. He said he only saw the bird eating fruit and it didn't harm him. But she cried and begged the prince not to visit it anymore. Because if the prince was discovered, whether he was injured or not, the servant would be punished and become food for that monster. He didn't believe the bird ate people, but he promised not to sneak off to see it anymore. Many years passed, the prince had grown up and had to study more. The teacher asked what the most important thing to become a king was. He thought it was compassion, but the teacher said that was not enough. He must be proficient in strategy. As a prince he must strive harder, he must set an example for the other princes. Becoming a prince is something that can happen. He knew he was not capable, he did not want to be king. He just wants to be a normal person. Now, every day feels like being trampled on. Mr. Took advises Huan to accept this fate. Since he was born as the crown prince, the future of Anquak will be borne by Huan. Mr. Took believes that Huan has good qualities that other princes do not have. While the two were confiding, Prince Fu arrived. Fu said, "It's his turn to go to class. The child who was just born has grown up like this. Because the cage is being repaired, Ling Diu is temporarily arranged here." The mischievous twin princes throw leftover food at Ling Diu. Huan intervenes. The 2 younger brothers should not treat others like that. However, the 2 children did not listen and laughed mockingly. Prince Huan is the most useless person. Yuan Ongrili approchait Ling Diu. Can you run away? Why don't you leave, stay here to be imprisoned, is it interesting to be oppressed? Ling Diu remained silent. Huan left in annoyance. The queen is pregnant again, she looks emaciated and weak. I heard that your child was bullied by Truck Fi's twin children again? They are all younger than you, so you don't want to compete with them. She wants Huan to have the authority of a crown prince, anyone who blocks the way must be eliminated. Only you, uncle, me, and this unborn child are real relatives. Even the monster in that cage must be killed. However, Huan feels that Nok is innocent. The queen laughed madly, her eyes glaring at Huan. This kind of naive kindness will kill you sooner or later. Huan went out sadly and saw that Fu was already standing there. Indeed, Huan is not trustworthy. I will absolutely not become a weak and useless person like him. Yuyan Ni bought a box of paint for him. Only Yuyan Ni is the one who always cares and understands him. Yuyan Ni was so happy that she wanted him to paint on her hand immediately to see if the paint really glows in the night. Huan painted a small peach blossom on Yuyan Ni's hand. Suddenly, the king arrived, and he angrily punished Yuyan Ni. As for Huan, he could only remain silent. After that day, where was Yuyan Ni? They said that Yuyan Ni had grown up, so they let her leave the palace to marry someone. But in Huan's heart, it seemed that he already knew Yuyan Ni's fate, he just didn't want to admit it. When night came, Huan couldn't sleep, so he went out to find a leopard. Huan saw a cart carrying a corpse. On the arm of that person, there was a small glowing peach blossom. Huan burst into tears and called Yuyan Ni's name. It was all his fault. Huan took a knife to the bird cage. You eat me now. Hurry up. Why are you silent? Aren't you a cannibal? Huan angrily cut his own hand. Blood was gushing out. Hurry up. I said, eat me quickly. Huan cried out in despair. If you don't eat people, why don't you tell them? Do you know how many people have been wrongfully killed? It's all because of you. Just eat me. I don't want to live anymore. Suddenly, Lin Du approached and grabbed Huan's bleeding hand. He then pulled it closer to himself. After that, he licked the bleeding wound. Huan jerked his hand back. Strangely enough, the wound had healed. Just as the soldiers arrived to take Huan back, it turned out that Yuyan Ni's death had nothing to do with Lin Du. They were just trying to spread terrifying rumors about a man-eating monster. In that moment, Huan realized that he was the bird trapped in a cage, never to be free. Huan saw Yuyan Ni return. Huan called out, Yuyan Ni, you're not dead yet. Suddenly, Yuyan Ni's face was covered in blood, her limbs severed, looking truly horrifying. Yuyan Ni blamed the weak prince for her death. Huan woke up with a start. After that night, the king forbade Huan from contacting Lin Du and confined Huan to his room. Every night, Huan had nightmares. A month later, today is the day Huan's confinement ends. The eunuch announced that the queen had a difficult birth, lost a lot of blood, and was exhausted. Huan, worried, told Pu to find the king. But Pu said the king had left the palace early. The queen's condition worsened, and Pu hurriedly ran to find the royal physician. The queen gave birth to a princess, but the baby seemed to be dead, with no heartbeat heard. Witnessing the horrifying scene, Juan's face turned pale. He hallucinated seeing terrifying images and then fainted. As soon as he woke up, the first thing Juan heard was his father calling him a waste and receiving news that his mother had passed away. 10 years later, when the princess tried to run fast to watch her two brothers shoot arrows. As expected, Prince Pu, with his majestic aura, shot his arrows with perfect accuracy, earning everyone's admiration. Although Crown Prince Juan tried his best, his abilities were limited. The great officials whispered their evaluations. The emperor watched. Among the princes, indeed Prince Pu was still the best. The princess cheered enthusiastically. Next time, you will definitely hit the target, brother Juan. Juan's multiple fainting episodes inadvertently saved his little sister who was in danger. Hi, his little sister, has been Juan's greatest comfort over the past 10 years. Over time, Juan tried to study without drawing, playing less music, not reading useless books, memorizing the 6 classics and national policies. But no matter how hard he tried, they were still not satisfied. Pu came to lift the little princess and called brother Juan to meet the emperor. Pu took the initiative to lead the troops to fight on the frontier. Juan knew that his younger brother Pu was more suitable to be the crown prince. Pu is intelligent, confident, strong, capable, not fearful or confused, and knowledgeable about everything. Pu is also valued by the emperor. Everyone admires him. Juan also admires his brother very much. Pu reassured Juan. Elder brother, I will definitely win and return. You and Hai just wait for the good news from me. I believe in you, you will definitely do well. That night, Pu went to see Mr. Tuk. He said that he must go to war tomorrow. Today, he came to say goodbye. The teacher advised him to take good care of himself because the climate in Yunnan is harsh. The teacher played a piece of music for him. He approached her, looking at the person he loved in front of him, just wanting to express his feelings. The moment when the teacher inadvertently looked up, it disrupted his rhythm, his heart beating continuously. Miss Hone will be Juan's wife in the future. Although they have only met twice, the marriage has been arranged by the king and queen for a long time. She secretly took Juan to the legendary birdcage. The young lady was extremely excited about the beautiful scene in the birdcage. Juan was anxious because it had been a long time since he had been here. He didn't know if he still remembered him. Suddenly, the spirit bird appeared before them. 10 years have passed, everything here has changed, only the spirit bird has not changed at all, he is still beautiful. Suddenly, Juan shed tears, and even Juan himself did not know why. From today, every day, Hai will come to Juan's palace to learn the zither. Today is the first day, so they just talked to each other. The teacher said, Juan and he are the 2 most talented zither players he has ever taught. If he had to choose, he would prefer to listen to music played by Juan, although Juan's technique is not yet stable, but it contains many emotions, lively and warm. On the other hand, he is too perfect, so he lacks emotion, perfect but cold. Hai noticed that Juan was no longer smiling. If Juan was not the crown prince, would Juan be happier? But there will be no ifs. Even if Juan gives up the position of crown prince, the prince's power struggle will not let him go. But the teacher believes that there will be a day when Juan understands how he wants to live. The spirit bird realized from a small bird. After reading, he burned to ashes. As usual, the emperor came to the birdcage to rest, but today, no matter how much he called, the person did not wake up. The emperor has passed away. Crown Prince Juan ascended the throne. For many consecutive days, Juan and the high-ranking officials dealt with government affairs. There was a crop failure, the national treasury was exhausted, and many localities were in tax arrears. Juan issued an order to open the warehouse to save the people and sent people to the localities to collect taxes. There was news that Pu had defeated the enemy, and the high-ranking officials were divided into 2 factions. One side wanted to mobilize more soldiers and food for Pu to conveniently conquer and expand the territory. One faction just wanted to get rid of the enemy and stabilize the country, not wanting to continue the war. Both sides did not give in to each other and put pressure on each other. Juan also had to get married and have children early according to the will of the emperor. Lin Du also had to be buried according to the emperor. Juan had to choose a day to kill and sacrifice Lin Du. Juan returned to the palace after a period of ascension. After the king died, no one took care of it, so the palace was very desolate. The peach tree that was a child has now borne heavy fruit. Lin Du sat on a high tree, the pink sunset looked very eerie. Just like that, one person listened, one person said all the troubles. In the future, there will be people who will bring fruits for you, will never bring corpses to you anymore, never. Juan married Hone and made her queen. It's been many days since Juan visited the queen, the eunuch reminded him to visit her. Seeing Huan coming, the queen was overjoyed. The concubines day and night always missed the king. This time Huan wanted to try to be intimate with the queen. The two kissed passionately, thinking that there would be a beautiful night. Then Huan had a terrifying hallucination. Huan's hand was trembling, his face was pale. "Hon, we should stop tonight." The queen's face was sad, then she came to hug Huan to comfort and vowed to wait for him. Huan went to the palace alone, expressing the troubles in his heart. "My incompetence will harm many people. Hon is a good queen, I will harm her." While blaming myself, suddenly a peach fell on Huan's head. I don't know if it's because of the leopard cub or someone else, because I see Huan foolishly blaming himself. Half a year has passed and the queen is still not pregnant. The rumors are increasing. But no matter how hard I try to get close, the result is even worse. To have Huan have a child, the queen had all the top beauties of Manhwa brought into the palace. Then, she invited Huan to meet them. Fu won the battle and returned. He was rewarded by Huan, when he happily ran to hug Fu. The king wanted to dine with Fu, but because he was in a hurry to go somewhere, Fu declined the invitation. The person that Fu hurried to meet was Mr. Took. Fu ran quickly to hug the person in front of him to satisfy his longing. "For 2 years now, I miss you every day." Fu gently held Mr. Took's hand, brought it up to touch his face. "How are your eyes?" "It's just a skin wound." "It's okay." Suddenly Fu blocked Mr. Took's words with a kiss. Mr. Took was surprised to stand still. Fu gently stroked Mr. Took's lips. "I just kissed you, did you feel it?" "I admire you. Since I understood things, I have admired you." Mr. Took was confused. He sobered up and left. Fu has never been as sober as this moment. On the battlefield, at the moment of life and death, you swore to heaven. "As long as I survive and return, I will not suppress myself anymore. I will take back everything I deserve." That night, the queen blamed Fu for not respecting the king, but Huan didn't mind because he understood. The leopard cub suddenly roared, scaring the queen. Huan comforted, "It's okay, I'm here." The queen wanted Huan to lock the leopard cub in the cage, but Huan disagreed. "The leopard cub is very obedient, I will assign more people to supervise it." Huan and Pu, the two brothers, had a heart-to-heart talk over drinks after being apart for 2 years. During the war, Pu noticed that natural disasters were incessant. The people of An Kingdom were suffering everywhere, but the corrupt officials took advantage of the relief to embezzle. Pu wanted Huan to investigate and punish the corrupt officials in the recent relief effort. Pu also advised Huan to strengthen his own power. The last thing Pu wanted Huan to deal with was the spirit bird because of rumors that the king of An Kingdom only cared about pleasure. "Brother, you should not follow in our father's footsteps." Huan realized that the person in front of him was no longer the Pu he used to know. This was the gift that Pu gave to Master Took that night. Pu said it was a medicine for Master Took's eyes that he found in Yunnan. It might not completely cure, but there was still hope. Master Took remembered and still felt embarrassed. He couldn't sleep all night. Prince Pu couldn't come today, but he sent someone to bring a lot of precious zither, as well as jewels and treasures. In Master Took's memory, Pu was not like this. Huan came to confide in the spirit bird again. It turned out that the people of An Kingdom were still suffering a lot. "It's all my fault. I want to go outside to find out. I know I'm not suitable to be a king. This is a power struggle, either not being a king and getting killed or becoming a king and getting killed." Huan laughed helplessly. "Sometimes, I wish I wasn't born here." Huan remembered when he was young, he had seen the king talking and laughing alone with the spirit bird. Now he understood, only the palace cage made the king feel relieved, let go of everything, and do what he liked. "Knock, next month I will have someone take you back to Dongdo," he said. Huan smiled contentedly. "From now on, you are free." "Ah, no, you have always been free. I don't know why you stayed here. This cage can't confine you. In the name of the king of Manhwa, I assure you that I will let you leave here safely." For many days, Fu came to see Mr. Took, but Mr. Took avoided him and did not take his medicine. Fu signaled for the servant to leave quietly, then approached and took Mr. Took's hand. "Last time, I offended you. Today, I come to apologize. I know you don't want to see me, but those words are sincere. I'm sorry, I really can't reciprocate your feelings. Please take back the gifts you gave me." "Actually, I don't need you to reciprocate, it's just that I don't want to regret anything in this life." However, Fu still wanted Mr. Took to try the eye medicine. Fu removed Mr. Took's blindfold. Whether it worked or not, he still hoped that Mr. Took could try once. He hoped that Mr. Took could see him, remember him. Fu held Mr. Took's face, speaking while pressing the pill into his mouth. After taking the medicine, Mr. Took suddenly fainted and Fu anxiously sat up all night. Because he had to go to court, he left. When he woke up, Mr. Took could see vaguely. It seemed that the medicine had an effect. The ministers collectively submitted a memorial opposing the release of the spirit bird, but Huan was still determined to release it. Just then, there was news that the leopard cub had gone mad and bitten people. Many people were injured and lay paralyzed, with long streaks of red blood on the ground. The leopard cub was also full of injuries. It seemed that there was a string wrapped around its neck. Fu stood in front of the queen, his hand raised a bow to suppress the leopard cub. The sharp arrows stuck into its flesh, causing it to bleed profusely. The leopard roared terrifyingly. It completely lost its sanity and rushed forward in madness. He screamed in protest. Fu still held his bow. He looked away. It had already killed many people. It almost harmed the queen. It being in the palace was a disaster. He ran up with his arms out to catch the cub. "The cub is me, don't harm it." As the cub rushed over, Fu quickly drew his sword and cut off its head. In a contrasting scene, he hugged the cub's body and fainted crying. Fu was praised by everyone for killing the beast. The queen blushed with gratitude that King Fu had saved her. Fu said, "Protecting people is my duty." He remembered that Nok could save the cub. He hugged its body and ran to find Nok despite the judgments. Fu stood in silence watching. What was Fu's plan? He was panting, holding the cub's body, and screaming. "Nok, you come out, Nok, come out quickly." Red blood was splattered on the white snow. "I know you have healing power, come out quickly." The bird walked over, looked at the cub's head separated from its body, then shook its head and turned away. He was shocked, still begging, "Don't go, you have to save it, Nok." He screamed loudly, then hugged the cub's body and collapsed on the cold snow, a red blood-soaked area. The snow kept falling, covering them with a white layer. Suddenly a light flashed. The bird magically wrapped a vine around the cub's body. Then from within the vine, a cub in the form of a small cat fell out. He was overjoyed and hugged it. "You're back, that's great. Nok, thank you for bringing the cub back." Ling Du turns her back and walks away. The leopard cub follows her into the palace. Huan smiles. "Go on, you will be better off with Nok." The loyal general has just returned. He rushes to the palace to find His Majesty. Huan's health is deteriorating. According to the royal physician, this situation can only depend on Huan himself. That night, the leopard cub and Ling Du come to visit Huan. Fu hears that Huan has woken up, so he makes an appointment with Mr. Tuk to visit him next time. Mr. Tuk asks, "What's happening in the palace? It's been a long time since I've been in the palace. I don't know how Huan is doing." Fu replies, "Everything is fine." Fu advises Mr. Tuk to rest so his eyes can recover quickly. "I will visit you later." Still feeling uneasy, Mr. Tuk sends someone to eavesdrop on the news in the palace. Fu comes to visit brother Huan. Huan tells about his dream last night. "I was naked and lying in a very cold place. Just about to die from the cold. Nok appears. As soon as Nok arrives, my body warms up. Then Nok talks a lot, but I don't understand. When I woke up, I was no longer uncomfortable. Perhaps Nok saved me." Fu says, "Brother, you are no different from Father King." The queen blocks uncle's path. "Prince Fu, please stop. I don't know if you have time to have a royal meal with me?" Fu smiles, "Of course." Huan orders the general to escort Ling Du to Dongdo, and after completing the mission, there is no need to return to the palace. The loyal general refuses to leave. However, Huan knows he is about to die. The only thing Huan can do now is to limit the number of people who sacrifice for him. Now, he is not afraid of anything. "Hang, he is very grateful for your loyalty. In this palace, you are the only one willing to follow him. Only you can help him fulfill this wish. He cannot fly freely. He hopes that he can." Huan came to say goodbye to Nok and the leopard. "Thank you. Goodbye." Just like that, the carriage took Lin Du away. Huan stood there holding a feather. He silently watched. "Goodbye." Nok, Mr. Tuk wanted to visit Huan in the palace. But Po ordered the guards not to let anyone leave Tuan Ton Kak. At the same time, Hai's younger sister came to Mr. Tuk. Hai said that if Huan came to Mr. Tuk in a few days, he would be safe. After Po finished his love affair, he went to court to meet the princes. Now, they all support him. Lin Du and the leopard have gone far away. After a month, except for going to court in the morning, Huan spent the rest of his time in the library reading all kinds of books that people thought were useless. He had never felt so comfortable before. There was news from the royal doctor. The queen was pregnant. Huan smirked. A reward is announced. Mr. Tuk continues to seek Po. This time, Po decides to meet. It's been a long time since he met Mr. Tuk. He apologizes for his rudeness. He can only meet people at this time. Po asks his servant to step down. Then he approaches Mr. Tuk. "Why are you covering your eyes? Not seeing anything will make me feel better. You know why I'm looking for you. Whatever it is, I will listen carefully. Huan will definitely agree to give up his throne to you. Please spare him." Po is stunned. If you spare him, who will spare me? Now everyone here is yours. Huan won't. If I want to kill him, what can Mr. Took do? Pu steps forward to put a knife in Mr. Took's hand. You can kill me. If it's you, I won't blame you. My organs are here, my neck is here. Mr. Took trembles and drops the knife. Then he slaps Pu hard. You won't have a second chance. After saying this, Pu orders someone to take Mr. Took back. Mr. Took was so angry that he had difficulty breathing and then fainted. Since childhood, after knowing that Mr. Took liked jasmine, every time he taught Pu to play the instrument, Mr. Took always smelled the scent of jasmine, regardless of the season. In Mr. Took's heart, Pu is intelligent, polite, calm, and gentle. Mr. Took felt that Pu liked him, liked being by his side. But he didn't expect that the liking would be like this. When did he become so strange? Or is this really him? The scent of jasmine lingered by the sickbed. Mr. Took was heartbroken and shed tears. Pu came to find Huan. Is it tonight? The only regret is that I haven't finished reading this book. Pu gave Huan 3 choices: poison, mirror, and finally the bow and arrow. Huan chose the bow and arrow, similar to the way Pu used it with the leopard cub. The soldiers were in position. I know he can do well. I am free now. Huan smiled contentedly. Pu signaled. Hundreds of sharp arrows flew straight towards Huan. Suddenly a source of power blew open the window, then blew away all the arrows. One arrow even rebounded and injured Pu's face. It turned out to be Nok. Nok spread her wings, gently hugged Huan. The two stood on the window frame, facing Pu. Huan was surprised and asked Nok, "Is it you? You're back." Suddenly, Nok moved her lips and said, "Do you trust me, Huan? You can talk." Huan was amazed because it was the first time he heard Nok's voice. Nok's voice was deep and charming. Nok smiled. This was also the first time Huan saw Nok smile. I ask again. Do you trust me, Huan? Looking straight into Nok's eyes, Huan answers. I trust. Nok grabs Huan's neck, continues to speak, and closes her eyes. Huan listens to Nok's words, closes his eyes, and gives all the knives to him. Suddenly, Nok bends down and opens her mouth intending to bite Huan. Pu is shocked and quickly pulls out a knife and throws it at Nok. Nok easily pushes the knife away and bites sharply into Huan's shoulder, her fangs sinking deep into the flesh. In that moment, the space suddenly becomes silent, Huan's head becomes empty, and then gradually loses consciousness. Nok smiles, then carries Huan and flies towards the moon, disappearing in front of Pu and the soldiers. Pu smiles mysteriously. After waking up, Huan remembers that Nok saved him last night. The bite mark on his shoulder has disappeared. Huan is bewildered and doesn't know where he is. Nok sits on a high tree and speaks down. Are you awake? Then Nok swoops down and even smiles at Huan. Huan stands still, curious about many things, so Huan keeps asking. You know how to speak, why haven't you spoken for so many years? Don't want to? Isn't it uncomfortable to be silent like that? No. Nok gives Huan fruit to eat, seeing that Huan asks again. So you don't eat human flesh either? Don't eat. So the book says you still know, haven't finished the sentence. Nok has blocked the words. Stop, sit down, eat. You only know how to say 2 words, and then 2 words like that, right? Nok is helpless, silent. Huan eats fruit while confiding. In the coming time, Huan needs to find a place to hide. Pu's power is not yet stable. To gain support from the vassals, Pu will continue to hunt down Huan. However, Huan does not hate Pu. Huan thinks that if it were him, he would probably do the same thing. However, Nok says, you would not do that. Huan is moved, his heart is pounding. Nok, why did you save me? Nok looks at Huan and pats his head. Because you let me go. Nok blushes and asks again. Also, why did you bite me? Because you said you trust me. Nok asks Huan what he wants to do the most right now. Huan wants to take a bath, so Nok goes to the market to get new clothes. Huan is curious about Nok's wings. Nok says she will hide them so that people do not discover them. Before Nok intends to leave, Huan asks her. Wait, what is your real name? Nok replies, I like you calling me Nok. Huan stares blankly as Nok's figure gradually disappears into the sky. Huan leisurely takes a bath in the stream. Here, you can hear the sound of birds singing, insects chirping, water flowing, wind and leaves rustling. All of these make Huan feel at peace. Huan knows that he will live for himself next. Now, what fascinates Huan is Nok. The clothes with soft fabric fit Huan quite well. The market that Nok went to is located in Waitan land, owned by twin princes. These are the things that Huan carries with him when he leaves. The sachet is a gift from Hai to Huan. She wants Huan to always carry it with him. But unexpectedly, there are many valuable things inside. Nok also picked up a lot of luminous stones in the palace cage, which can be exchanged for a lot of silver. Nok will go to the market to buy a few things. She asks Huan if he wants anything. Huan replies, I want to read books. Nok uses the luminous stone to exchange for books. The shop owner is overjoyed. His eyes are as bright as stars because this is the first time he has seen such a large luminous stone. This stone can exchange for all the books in the shop. Nok says she will cut bamboo to build a house. Huan wants to help but Nok refuses. You just do what you want. So Nok enthusiastically cuts bamboo to build a house. Occasionally, she looks at Huan reading attentively under the tree. Then she smiles. Just now, it's already late at night. Huan smells the delicious smell of grilled fish. Huan comes to Nok. Nok, I can help you work, I'm not that weak. Do you have any wishes? Serving the country, destroying the country, killing people, as long as you want, I can help you accomplish it. Huan is curious, because I let you go? Nok gets closer to Huan. I am willing to help you because I need something on your body. I need your heart. Isn't it you who said you won't eat your meat? That's right, the human heart is what helps us increase our magic power. Especially your heart. Huan is surprised. My heart, why is it not like everyone else's? Nok gets closer to Huan, inhales the sweet scent on Huan. Different, I can smell your scent is very special. In this situation, Huan is not afraid but finds it interesting. Huan laughs and asks, so when do you need my heart? Nok replies, no need to hurry, anyway, you don't live as long as me. Wait until you no longer want to live or are about to die, then it's not too late for me to take it. During this time, I will nurture you so that your heart becomes more valuable. Huan said he felt relieved because Nok wanted to find Huan, and Huan needed Nok's help. So in the future, I can do whatever I want, right? If possible, you will always be with me, right? Until you die. Hai wants to stay with Master Tuk. She doesn't want to return with Pu. Pu came over and talked to Hai. Do you hate me very much? Do you really hate me? Hai stuttered, I don't hate you, brother, I'm afraid of you, you killed my brother Huan. I'm afraid you will treat me like Huan. Pu appeared gentle, sincere. Look at me, I swear I will never treat you like that. You are my only little sister, the only princess of an kingdom. To make you feel scared, insecure, I apologize. It's my fault. Hai cried and hugged Pu. Everyone said that Huan was captured by the spirit bird and they flew to the moon. Brother, did you see if Huan is dead? Pu just kept silent and didn't say anything. I believe that he is still alive. I will definitely meet Huan again. Pu said, Huan, he is free now. It turned out that before the death of the eldest brother, Pu had met the spirit bird. No one knew this, nor did anyone know what the two had said to each other. Pu said, I also believe, we will meet again. As long as the fate comes, we will meet again. Master Tuk outside heard all the confessions of the two brothers. Hai fell asleep in Pu's arms. Hai agreed to follow Pu back. Master Tuk also had to return to Tuan Ton Kak. Pu said, Master, can you stay in the palace? Tomorrow is the coronation ceremony. I hope the master will stay. Are you using the identity of the king of an kingdom to order or the identity of a student to invite me? As your student, Master Tuk declined the invitation. He believed that everything would go as Fu wanted. Fu stood there silently watching him leave. On the morning of the coronation, the atmosphere was very festive. Hone said, Your Majesty, it's about to start. Fu seemed unusually quiet. At night, because the queen was pregnant, she instructed the concubines to serve King Fu carefully. Yet the emperor ignored the concubines and left the palace alone at some point, without saying where he was going. Mr. Tuk sat alone, admiring the moon and playing the zither. Fu ignored the banquet. His body reeked of alcohol as he embraced Mr. Tuk. Why are you here? I just want to be where there are people, just for a while. Mr. Tuk stroked Fu's head. You're drunk. Mr. Tuk must hate me. He hates me so much. You are the king, and Kwok will undergo many changes. Huan is forced to become incompetent. I don't have the qualifications to hate you. I'm also like Hai, I believe Huan is still alive. Indeed, the person who values Huan the most, from childhood to adulthood, I am very jealous of him. Mr. Tuk values both brothers equally. Fu wrapped his arms around Mr. Tuk's waist, but Fu considered Mr. Tuk to be the most special person. Fu also wanted to be the most important and special person in Mr. Tuk's heart. Fu took the initiative to kiss Mr. Tuk. Mr. Tuk, I admire you. Fu, this is not right. In my place, nothing is wrong. He read books and learned about different types of medicine for treating diseases. This fruit has a mild, sweet and sour taste. It's edible. Since he had almost finished reading the books, Nok took him to the market to buy more. This was his first time here since leaving the palace. The city was bustling, the atmosphere was lively, he was extremely excited. There was a tea house discussing King Huan, attracting everyone's attention. They both stopped to listen. The owner of the tea house was telling a story. King Huan was obsessed with beauty. He once captured all the beautiful girls into the palace, even other people's wives or widows were not spared. King Huan also liked to keep man-eating monsters. Palace maids and concubines who made mistakes would be thrown to them as food. King Huan watched this bloody scene for entertainment. One day, a huge monster went mad and attacked the queen. King Fu was ready to stand in front. He shot an arrow through the monster's eye. After hearing this, everyone praised King Fu. He also laughed loudly. It was indeed interesting. Suddenly a young man called him. "Are you interested in King Huan?" The young man introduced with a bright smile. "Here we have spring paintings, passed down from inside the palace, limited quantity." The young man cautiously took out a painting from his body for him to see. Seeing himself in the painting, he laughed loudly. What a fat and ugly King Huan. He snatched the painting from his hand. "You talk as if you have met King Huan." The young man teased. All lecherous and unrestrained kings are like that. Although he is ridiculed by everyone, when Nok asks if he is angry, Huan is not angry but happy to see that everyone is doing well. On the way to the bookstore, the two pass by a person. Huan thinks that person looks quite like Mr. Took. Huan calls out, "Mr. Took, why are you here?" But when the young man turns around, Huan realizes he was mistaken. The two were about to continue when it was the young man's turn to call out. "Excuse me, did you say earlier that I look like someone you know? That person is a bit older than you. How should I address you?" Nok had also advised Huan to use a different name to avoid revealing his identity. "You can call me Hoa Tuesday." The young man wants to talk to Huan for a while. The young man introduces himself as Lac Min, from Tu Ven Quoc, who came to Nquoc to find his older brother named Lac Tuk. "Mr. Tuk never told me he had a younger brother. Perhaps because he thought I was dead. Both my brother and I were born in Tu Ven Quoc. Our father died early, and our parents sold their skills to make a living. Since childhood, my brother has been the one taking care of me. When I was 5, our parents passed away. The two brothers were separated. My brother was adopted by our mother's siblings and brought back to Nquoc. I was adopted by relatives on my father's side. At first, the two of us kept in touch, but then Tu Ven Quoc fell into chaos. I wandered around and lost contact with my brother. Hearing Mr. Tu speak, I feel the hope of meeting my brother is growing. Although the two look alike, currently Mr. Tuk has a noble status. He is the first musician of Nquoc. So Huan does not dare to conclude the relationship between the two. Lac Min was very happy to hear that his older brother is now the #1 national teacher. Finally, Huan advised Lac Min to go to the capital city and inquire about Mr. Tuk's name to find his whereabouts. Huan did not reveal his identity. He just needed Lac Min to tell Mr. Tuk that he had met one of his students when they met. The three of them said goodbye to each other. Huan found Lac Min to be honest. However, Nok felt something strange about Lac Min. The smell of blood on him was very strong. He was not an ordinary person. Lac Min was happy because this time he had a chance to meet his older brother again. Suddenly, a mysterious girl appeared. She threw a dart at Lac Min. He quickly used his umbrella to block it. The dart stuck exactly at the top of the umbrella. The girl held another dart in her mouth. She laughed and looked very happy. She said, "There is a new mission, let's meet at the old place tonight." After saying that, she disappeared. Lac Min silently took out a letter to read. Nok took Huan to the bookstore they visited before. The owner greeted them warmly. The owner went out to make tea. A young man led Huan inside to see more books. The other guy planned to take Nok to see another area. When Nok refused, he suddenly pulled out a knife to threaten her. Huan was also threatened by the other guy with a knife to his neck. Unlike anyone else, Huan was happy to be robbed. His eyes sparkled and he asked, "Are you about to rob me?" Then he voluntarily took out the money from his pocket and gave it all to him. The guy was so happy that he ran outside to brag to his boss, but his boss was already lying flat on the ground, unconscious. The sounds of screaming, punching, and kicking echoed. Both of them were quickly dealt with by Nok. Nok came to untie Huan. Huan shouted with joy. "Nok, I was robbed, all the money was taken." No one has ever been robbed clean like Huan. The sound of the bookstore owner screaming for help can be heard. He says that he was tied up as soon as he stepped out. He tells Nok and Huan to continue choosing books, while he will drag the robbers to report to the authorities. However, Huan guesses that he and the robbers are accomplices. He said he was going to pour tea earlier, but the teapot is in the room where I was locked. So why did he come to this stable? The owner sweats profusely but still denies it. Are those two guys employees of the store? I saw ink stains on their fingers. I can ask people around if they work here. Then I will go to report to the authorities. At this point, the owner trembles and kneels down to beg. In return, you two can have whatever you want, that's what he said himself. Huan laughs mischievously. Seeing Juan so happy, Nock also involuntarily smiles. As a result, Juan is given a horse cart and books that fill the cart by the owner. Thank you, owner, we will visit you again next time. Juan is elated. Nock, I'm hungry, let's go eat something delicious. Juan happily bites into a large piece of mantu. This mantu was bought at a store with a very unique sign. Bon bao nen thit Juan Vong. Nock negotiates with the manta shop owner. I will give you money, burn this sign. The queen comes to meet Mr. Took. She praises the sound of his zither for soothing people's hearts. No wonder the emperor praises him so much. Then the queen goes straight to the main issue. Although Mr. Took no longer teaches zither in the palace, Prince Po is very fond of him. Many nights the emperor often visits Tuan Ton Kak. Currently, Mr. Took is leisurely playing the zither here thanks to the emperor suppressing the unfavorable words. In the future, many people will come here to win over Mr. Took. If they don't understand his stance, they might eliminate him. Mr. Took won't be able to stay out of it forever. Mr. Took's face turned pale. He stuttered, I truly have no feelings for Prince Po. I have rejected him many times. The queen laughed. If it were me from a year ago, I would definitely have skinned Mr. Took. You have something that countless women in the palace don't have. Mr. Took looked even worse than before. I didn't mean that. I understand your suffering. In the end, the queen's purpose of coming here was to remind Mr. Took to prepare a plan to continue staying with Prince Po or to leave him. As soon as the queen left, Mr. Took had a headache and fainted. The royal doctor said that he had been mentally hurt many times, and it had accumulated over time, making it very difficult to treat. He must be kept undisturbed, otherwise, if the evil energy invades his body, it would be hard to guarantee his life. Po sent people to Van Nam to find the divine doctor who rides a dog, but there was still no result. Po extended the deadline by 1 month and ordered to search in the neighboring countries of Van Nam. If they still can't find him, Po himself will go to find him. There was news that Mr. Took had woken up, and Po immediately came to see him. Mr. Took asked Po, what do you like about me? Po replied, I like your gentleness. You are always gentle and kind to everything. The first time we met, I liked you. Being by your side, I feel comfortable and warm. I like it when you are focused on playing the instrument. I like your eyes that are covered with a layer of mist. I like your long slender fingers. He likes the scent of jasmine mixed with the scent of tea on her body. He likes it when she talks to him. He likes it when she smiles at him. He keeps liking her like that until he grows up. Then he likes her to the point of wanting to touch her, kiss her, possess her. The teacher slowly says. He also once liked someone very much. She is his benefactor, the one who brought him to Nkwak. The feeling when he likes her is also like how she likes him. He loves her, but she does not love him. It's strange, like a cycle of reincarnation. Perhaps he and she do not deserve to have true love. The teacher suddenly kneels in front of Po. Po, he truly does not have any love for you. His feelings for you are only care like brothers. Your feelings are too heavy. If he accepts your love, it will break him. Please, King Po, from now on, do not come to Tuan Ton Kak anymore. Po is silent, then smiles, supporting the teacher with a terrifying stare. Teacher, what are you saying? Even if you shatter into many pieces, he will mend you. Even if we die, we must be buried together. The teacher can only helplessly call Po's name. Po replies, initially he intended to bring her into the palace, but currently her health is not good, so from now on, he will come to Tuan Ton Kak to visit her every day. The teacher takes care, the teacup shatters, the smell of blood mixes with the scent of tea. The red blood soaks the teacher's clothes and face. On the carriage returning to the palace, Po clenched his injured hand, causing blood to flow non-stop. The setting sun shone on Po's face, a face that was hard to read. Recently, Juan started writing a book about Lin Du. It has been over 10 years since Juan first met Nock. Juan observed Nock very carefully. Nock often dozes off, just a slight disturbance would wake her up. Nock's skin is white, her eyelashes are long, her shiny black hair is adorned with many sparkling gems, shining under the sun. Her large wings, with soft feathers, are very warm when Nock hugs them. The wings can be retracted using magic, they are always there, it's just that humans can't see them. Nock's voice is very nice, but perhaps Nock does not like to talk. The food is similar to humans, but Nock prefers fruits over meat. Nock's teeth are very sharp, it feels like they can bite through anything. Juan recalls the night Nock came to save Juan. When Nock bit into his neck, the whole world suddenly became quiet. Juan no longer clearly remembers that strange feeling. Juan closes his eyes and inhales the scent on Nock. Juan likes the scent of her, it's the scent of leaves mixed in the wind, with a bit of the scent of star anise fruit, and a bit of the scent of the peach he just ate in the afternoon. This fragrance makes Juan feel comfortable and peaceful. Nock wakes up, opens her eyes and looks at Juan as if to ask, "What are you doing?" Juan says I am observing you, recently I have been taking notes about you, I want people to understand more about Lin Du. Nock thinks Juan is doing something pointless, because people only want to believe in what they want to believe. Nock does not care how humans perceive and treat the Duk race. As for Juan, he just needs to feel happy with this. Nock adds, when she was captured to Nquak, Nock was seriously injured so she needed to heal, that wound has healed since 10 years ago. But for some reasons, Nock stayed in the cage and did not leave. Juan asks, do you hate humans very much? Nock replies, I neither hate nor like, humans are very strange. Juan asks, am I also very strange? Nock looks at Juan, then recalls Juan's appearance when he was young, then she pinches Juan's cheek. You are the strangest person. After saying that, Nock invites Juan to stargaze. Nock carries Juan on her wings and flies up to the high mountain. Nock spreads her wings and hugs Juan. Juan asks where Nock's hometown is. Nock says it's no longer there. It was destroyed by war. The people of the tribe have also scattered everywhere. So, do you still want to go back? The person worth returning to is no longer there. Juan realizes that Nock is very sad. This is the first time Juan has seen this sorrowful look of Nock. It's Nock's turn to ask if Juan wants to return to the royal palace? Juan doesn't want to go back to the palace now. In Juan's memory, the royal palace only has pain and loneliness. But sometimes, Juan misses Hai, Mr. Took, and Fu very much. He really wants to see everyone again. Just say it, and I will take you back. Wait until I become better, more useful. Nock sees that Juan knows a lot of things. Juan draws a design for the house where the two live. Juan knows how to use explosives to dig canals for water. He knows how to use the terrain to set up a water wheel. Juan knows farming, understands about herbs, and many other things. Juan is always curious about everything, wants to learn a lot. The most important thing is that you are very kind. Juan blushes, then laughs. This is the first time someone has spoken to me like this. You should live more confidently, you are more useful, you think a lot. The morning sun shines on Juan's face, he still keeps the habit of getting up early to attend court. Juan sleepily stands awkwardly waiting for the maid to change his clothes. Then he remembers that he is no longer in the palace, and he crawls back into Nock's arms to sleep again. Juan murmurs, it's really warm. A family of 3 people sleep soundly next to each other in a warm house. As the days pass, the vegetable garden Juan planted is almost ready to harvest. Juan is excited and wants to show off to Nock, and Nock is focused on fixing the roof. Just like that, Juan is engrossed in watching Nock work. Seeing Nock sweaty looks very hot. Juan calls Nock to sit down and rest. Then he ties Nock's hair back. He touches Nock's soft hair strands, smells the scent on Nock's body. Suddenly, Juan blushes and feels nervous. The result is a bit messy, but it's okay. The two of them go into the city to buy more books. Even though they sold a cart full of books and received full payment, the boss and the staff are still scared. Juan happily eats a meat bun. Nock asks if the meat bun Juan is eating is that delicious. Juan is delighted. That's right, it's much better than the food in the palace. After a while of coaxing, Nock finally agrees to take a bite. As Nock opens his mouth to bite, an arrow from afar rushes towards the two of them. Nock quickly reacted and pulled Juan out of the way of the arrow. The arrow pierced the bun. Juan still didn't understand what had just happened. Nock spurred the horse to run forward, but they were surrounded. The robbers made them hand over all their valuables. Juan was excited. Wow, these are real robbers. The robbers felt something was wrong. Why did he look happy when being robbed? One of the robbers saw a cute leopard and approached it, but it bit his hand. The gang leader hit him on the head. Be serious, get in line quickly. Another one drew his sword and threatened Juan to bring out all the valuables. When Juan obeyed, the robber yelled, don't move. He wanted Juan to get the stuff, but didn't allow Juan to move. Juan wondered how he could get the money. The gang leader hit this guy again, tied them up and searched them. I was a bit nervous because it was my first time being stupid. Another one was clumsy, falling up and down, even mistaking a sweet potato for a knife. The gang leader was angry again. Nock suddenly stood up to observe. These robbers looked fierce and scary, but in fact, they were stupid and silly, not dangerous at all. Seeing Juan still in a daze, because it was the first time he met these legendary robbers, robbing the rich to give to the poor. Nock had to obey the robbers and sit down neatly. After checking, the robbers only found books and a few pieces of silver. The gang leader looked at Nock and Juan, then came up with an idea, to sell them to the brothel, because they both looked fair and clean, so they could make some money. He sold the remaining books to Mr. Truong for a profit. Hearing about the brothel, Juan was excited because he had never been there before. While waiting for Mr. Truong to arrive, the robbers roasted sweet potatoes to eat. Juan smelled the delicious aroma of the roasted sweet potatoes. The robber said these were Han's potatoes. Han wanted to let Juan taste them, but he was hit on the head by the boss. "We are mountain bandits who kill without blinking an eye. Why should we treat him well?" The younger brother cried as he spoke. "We took his money and sold him. It's not too much to let him eat a little." After a while of negotiation, Juan was untied and allowed to taste the roasted sweet potatoes. Juan slowly bit into a small piece and exclaimed, "I have never tasted such delicious sweet potatoes. They are fragrant, sweet, and soft. This is truly a worldly delicacy." The three robbers couldn't help but admire Juan's graceful and cute actions. At the same time, Mr. Truong had arrived. It turned out that he was the bookstore owner where Juan and Nok often shopped. They were so surprised that they wanted to turn into stone immediately and kept praying for peace. Juan said that all his books were bought from him. After a while of whispering, everyone suddenly agreed in a strange harmony. Feeling something, Nok hugged Juan tightly. Nok said there was a smell of blood. A man full of injuries ran towards them shouting for help. Suddenly, this man was caught up by the soldiers, shot down with a crossbow, and beheaded. The soldiers continued to search everywhere for escapees. The boss, fearing something had happened to the mountain camp, ordered everyone to return. The soldiers had attacked the mountain camp. Dead bodies and injured people were scattered everywhere. The big treasure tried to inform everyone to run to the Tien Tan Mu for refuge. Suddenly, the boss was shot through the arm with an arrow. The soldiers returned to the mountain camp. They shouted to kill everyone and not let anyone escape. He quickly ran to help everyone escape. She turned feathers into sharp arrows to attack the soldiers. "Keep going, take the survivors with us, let's get to a safe place first. Here, I hand it over to you." They have reached a safe place, meeting the people who had fled before. There were many injured people, the only doctor in the village was killed, many people were worried and lost their composure. He knew the important thing at this moment was to save people, but no one here knew medical techniques. "She has the ability to heal but is outside blocking the soldiers, we can't always rely on her." The elder sister lost too much blood, he was not confident, he trembled and said, "I dare not, I only know a little medical technique. Before, I robbed you, even wanted to sell you, it was my fault, you just treat according to your will. If you survive then you are my benefactor, if you die it's my fate." Along with the pleas of everyone, he calmed down, then instructed everyone to take care of the injured. He tore the cloth on his body to bandage the wounds for everyone. Busy all night, finally finished bandaging. She returned, a person was seriously injured, people called him Brother Hang. He recognized that it was the loyal general who had followed him, one of Hang's arms had been cut off. He was shocked, Hang was the strongest general in Anquak, how could it be? She said she found Hang still alive in the pile of dead bodies. After a moment of stunned loss of focus, he immediately bandaged the wound for Hang. "Thank you," Seeing his disheveled appearance, she asked, "What did you do to end up like this?" "Because there was no clean cloth, so I tore the cloth on my body to use." The people in the mountain camp said, the soldiers were following the emperor's order to search for the fleeing King Huan. Even though no one had seen King Huan, the soldiers still massacred the entire mountain camp. He was shocked when he heard that Fu ordered the army to go everywhere to kill him. Huan doesn't believe that Po is such a person. The people are currently extremely agitated, unanimously calling for the destruction of King Po. Huan is trembling, his head hurts like it's being hammered. If Po uses the excuse of searching for him to gather military forces, it can be understood. But why massacre innocent people? These actions are not beneficial for Po. Huan shouts out. "Everyone, don't be agitated. King Po will not do these things. King Po is not such a person." A child is crying and shouting. "My parents, my little sister, they were all killed by them. I want to take revenge. I want to kill them all." People start to get agitated again, shouting. "Kill the beasts, kill the dog officials, destroy King Po." Huan is helpless among the shouts, the mournful cries. The big sister speaks up at this time. "Shut up all of you. Look at yourselves. How can you take revenge? Leave this matter to me to solve." The big sister hugs the boy and comforts him. "I will definitely help you take revenge." Huan stands in silence, his heart torn. Po once wanted to kill him, but he wouldn't kill innocent people. Could it be that he hates me that much? Huan's heart tightens, the pain is so intense that he can't breathe. Suddenly, a deep and warm voice rings out. "Don't overthink. Just follow your intuition." A word from Nok pulled Huan out of the mire. Huan's intuition told him that Fu wouldn't do such things. Fu is very rational. He knows what's good for him. I trust him. Just when Hang woke up, seeing Huan in front of him, Hang softly called out, "Your Majesty." Huan shook his head. "Not anymore. It's just that you have to suffer now." Hang slowly explained. It was Tian who cut off my hand. These elite soldiers all follow the orders of Lam Hao. Even Fu Vong, Lam Hao doesn't care about. It turns out the person behind this is the queen's brother, Lam Hao. Lam Hao went to the palace to meet Fu Vong to request additional military funding. Fu happily agreed and praised the strength of Lam Hao's army. He modestly replied, "The people of the god are the people of Fu Vong." Fu wants Lam Hao to continue to mobilize more troops to the southwest to protect the border. Lam Hao said that most of the soldiers were stationed there. If more troops are mobilized, it will not be able to ensure the safety of Fu Vong. Pu believes that the capital still has troops from various lords. Only the army trained by Lam Hao makes him trust to send. The queen sends someone to tell her brother to meet her. She angrily says, "Don't overstep your bounds. Don't think I don't know what you're doing." Lam Hao is not afraid to hide, affirming that Pu is in power, but all military power is in his hands. And Kwok will eventually belong to their family. Her son will be king in the future. On the contrary, the queen is increasingly worried. "Brother, keep your mouth shut. Don't do anything to harm my child and me. This is the purpose of my father marrying my sister into the palace. The day our family revives is not far away." Until now, Pu has only visited his son twice. The queen knows that Pu is a person who is difficult to grasp his mind, not easy to control like that. Lam Hao threatened with a stern voice, "He did not come here to listen to this nonsense. If he fails, then the queen cannot survive. So she also has to do her duty." The queen is trembling with worry but can't do anything. Returning to the cave, Hang said he had a bad feeling. Huan easily guessed Hang's intention. The queen's family is getting stronger. When the emperor was still in office, the power of their family began to infiltrate the palace. These soldiers are deliberately stirring up the resentment of the people. Huan stood up all at once. It's not good. Huan knows they want to usurp the throne. He must quickly inform Pu. However, after reconsidering, things are still uncertain. He needs to deal with the current situation. Huan commands everyone to prepare for battle. One group chases after the soldiers who are tasked with delivering the message, to block the news from them. Another group stays behind to protect the people at the mountain camp. The government soldiers are in the village to the north, which is quite far away. Everyone here is injured. Huan asks Nok to chase after the government soldiers in the north. Capture the leader alive. If not possible, they can kill everyone. Before leaving, Nok gives Huan a knife. She bought it at the market, it's extremely good. Nok warns him, "When I'm not here, you can't die." Huan smiles and replies, I know." With renewed strength, Huan begins to implement the battle plan. According to Huan, someone goes to get the necessary items from his carriage. Everyone is still worried and wondering if they can defeat the government soldiers with their strength. Huan confidently asserts that they can not only defeat them, but also must annihilate them. Meanwhile, the soldiers report that there is no news from Bok Sun village. The person who was sent has not responded yet. The leader decided to have the troops return for inspection. They reached a narrow path with high cliffs on both sides. Then, a mysterious person appeared, blocking the way. Huan immediately recognized them as the elite troops of Lam Hao. He loudly asked, "Why did Lam Hao send you here?" The commander replied that they were following the orders of Pu Vong to track down the fleeing Huan Vong. Pu Vong had ordered to kill anyone who disobeyed. Huan continued to demand to see the military orders and the decree of Kwok from that man. He laughed sarcastically. "Who are you that I should show you? This is a rule set by the Kwok court. Every citizen of Kwok has the right to request to see it. If not, that general must be a traitor." He drew his sword and quickly rode his horse to Huan, his face smiling arrogantly. "Talkative, go to hell and see the military order." Seizing the opportunity, Huan shouted, "Now is the time, pull." From above, everyone pulled the rope hard, and a large amount of soil and rocks fell down. The soldiers screamed in different voices, retreated, disguised, retreated. The soil and rocks fell down loudly, and Huan tried to resist behind the shield. After a while, Huan appeared from the thick dust and walked to him. His whole body was crushed by soil and rocks, and blood was flowing. It was then that he recognized Huan's voice. "You are really not dead, Huan Vong." Huan coldly asked, "You followed Lam Hao's orders to harm innocent people. Then you put the blame on Pu Vong, right?" He begged Huan to save him, saying that everything was due to Lam Hao's orders. He was just following orders. Huan picked up his sword and scolded him for the order that harmed innocent people. He didn't know what should and shouldn't be done. It was a waste for a great general of Kwok. He laughed and then scolded Huan as a cunning child who had never been to the battlefield. What could he know? A Kwok in your hands is about to perish. You deserve to die, your whole family deserves to die. Huan's hand was shaking, and his breath was heavy. Then he regained his calm, answered in a strained voice, and shut up. I have never killed anyone with my own hands, but today I will take your head to worship the innocent souls of Anquak. Huan raised his sword high and cut it down. He screamed in horror. Red blood soaked the ground. Blood splattered all over Huan. He turned pale and realized in shock. So, that's what it feels like. Everyone cheered for Huan. Suddenly, Huan fainted on the spot. Everyone returned to the cave to cook and rest. Finally, Nok also returned. Seeing Nok carrying Tian's head in her hand, while she was not scratched at all, everyone was shocked. Nok immediately asked where Huan was. Everyone said that Huan was resting on the other side, because he had been working hard for a day and a night. The big sister said that Huan was an extraordinary person, who could think of such a good strategy in a short time. He assigned tasks to everyone, took advantage of the long narrow mountain road of the mountain camp, and used explosives to trap the government soldiers. Thanks to that young master, we were saved. Nok came to Huan, watched Huan sleep for a while. Then she reached out and touched his face. After a while, Huan woke up. Seeing Nok, Huan smiled brightly and called. Nok, you're back. Ngitsi replied briefly. Nok asked if Huan was okay. Huan just felt a bit tired and sleepy. Nok said that the government soldiers resisted, so she killed them all and cut off the leader's head and brought it back. Huan recognized that the head was Tian's. Now it can be certain that they are trying to usurp the throne. He wanted to return to the palace immediately to report to Pu. Nok called a small bird to come, it would fly back to report in advance. Huan happily ran to get paper and pen. Huan instructed the little bird, please make sure to deliver it to Pu. After the uncle bird flew away, Huan urged Nok to quickly set off as well. A lady advised the two of them to bathe and change clothes before reaching the rock, or at least change clothes. Everyone also pointed out to them that behind the mountain there was a small hot spring, where bathing was very comfortable. The bookstore owner and the staff were soaking in the hot spring when Nok arrived. In fact, both of them had just arrived, but upon seeing Nok, she hastily said that they had soaked long enough and had to leave. However, after seeing Huan, and receiving praise from him for helping everyone, they both happily sat back down to continue soaking in the spring. Suddenly, Nok broke a stone nearby and crushed it, then glanced at the two of them. Both of them startled and quickly ran away, leaving behind their clothes. Seeing bruises on Huan's body, Nok reached out to call him closer to examine the wound. Although it was just a minor accident from somewhere, Nok still insisted on having Huan come back with her. Huan blushed, his heart pounding. Nok gently examined the wound on Huan's hand, then said she would treat it for him. Huan suddenly remembered that Nok had licked his wound that year. He jerked his hand away in alarm. Huan said Nok had already spent a lot of energy healing others. His wound wasn't serious, although it would take some time, it would be okay. Nok asked why, in the past, knowing her healing abilities, he stubbornly refused her help. Huan explained that he didn't want to take advantage of Nok and didn't want to rely on her. He wished both of them could be free to decide what they wanted to do. Huan looked at Nok and continued with a bright smile, we are no longer in a cage now. Yes, Nok replied with a smile. After soaking for a while, Huan asked how Nok treated others, wondering if she constantly licked wounds, which would be quite tiresome. Nok stood still for a moment, then turned away and burst into laughter. Trying to hold back laughter, but eventually burst into louder laughter at Huan's surprise. This was the first time Huan had seen Nok laugh like this, his heart pounding continuously. Nok said there was another way, not necessarily just licking wounds like that. Huan asked in surprise, so why did Nok do that to me at that time? Nok leaned closer to Huan, then she looked at him, she wanted to taste his scent. Nok looked straight into Huan's eyes and replied, I wanted to taste your scent. Huan, I want to help you, whether it was before or now, so let me do that. Nok took Huan's hand and brought it close to her lips, each gentle and tender movement made Huan feel embarrassed, his heart beating fast. Where Nok touched, he felt very comfortable. Suddenly, Nok stuck her tongue out and glanced at Huan. He startled, pulling his hand back, stuttering, or, maybe not. Nok teasingly smiled, it's been so long, yet your reaction is still the same. Nok stopped teasing Huan, she told him to turn his back to her. Then she carefully rubbed the bruises. The atmosphere was strange. To ease this awkward situation, Huan tried to come up with something to say. He asked if everyone in Nok's tribe had healing abilities or not. Nok remained silent, then said in a low voice, each person will have different abilities. My healing ability, I have to obtain it through eating. Nok said something similar, then asked Huan if he felt scared. Huan said if he were Nok, he wouldn't feel scared. In Huan's opinion, all the people eaten by Nok were willing in their hearts. Suddenly, Nok leaned closer and kissed the wound on Huan's back. The atmosphere became even more awkward, but Huan just sat quietly for Nok to treat the wound. This boy was upset with Huan because he lost his loved one and shouted at Huan. Just now, he had come to the hot spring to apologize to Huan. But when he returned, he remained silent, his face flushed red. It turns out that earlier, he had been tricked by 2 other kids. Thinking back, it made his nose bleed. Finally, the 2 of them finished bathing, everyone cheered excitedly because the new clothes suited them well. Huan bid farewell to Hang and advised him to take care of his wound well, he would come back to visit him later. Hang thanked Huan for saving him and the village. He hoped that after he recovered, he would continue to follow Huan and dedicate his strength to Huan. People prepared some food and brought the horses of the 2. The boss also came to say goodbye to the 2, she said that she had known them for a long time but had not asked their names. Huan hesitated and glanced at Nok for a while, then smiled brightly and replied. He said his name was Huan, and she was Nok. On the way out, Nok asked Huan why he didn't use a fake name anymore. Huan smiled brightly and replied, no need anymore, no need in the future either. Arriving at the city gate, Nok carried Huan and flew straight inside. The capital was bustling with people coming and going, however, the guards were sparse, making it easy to be ambushed. The little bird that delivered the letter had returned, it reported that it could not deliver the letter to Pu, because Pu was not in Anquak, and the location could not be determined. It turned out that Pu had led the army out, so the guard here was so loose. Huan was confused and wondered why at such a tense moment, Pu left the capital. Could it be that Pu did not detect the unusual actions of Lam Hao, or did Pu do it on purpose, or was there something really important so Pu had to leave? Huan immediately remembered Hai, he called Nok to the princess's mansion, because she might know where Pu had gone. At Truk though too, Princess Hai secretly escaped after being loosely imprisoned here for many days. She stealthily got past the doorkeeper who was asleep because of the sleeping pills. Next, Hai was excited to prepare to climb down the stairs, but was suddenly pulled back by someone grabbing her clothes. It was Heap, the bodyguard. Hai was angry and yelled wanting to go out. Pu had said, she could not go out, don't make me have to tie her up. Hai continued to curse, ordering Heap to go elsewhere. Of course, Heap did not leave, he hated spoiled people like this the most. Hai asked why Heap did not stay in his Fong country, but came here to be a bodyguard, such a lowly job. If it weren't for Pu's order, Heap wouldn't bother with Hai. However, he did not answer and remained silent. He said that she did not understand the current situation, so he reached out wanting to take her back to the room. She said she knew what was happening in the palace. She knew that King Fu trusted him because he was from Fong Kwok, and had no relation to any factions in the palace. She knew she should not run around, but she had her reasons. Seeing that this maid was quite sharp, he asked what she really wanted to do outside. She said she wanted to meet Mr. Took, he said he could invite that person here for her to meet. Standing in front of the room, she hesitated and said, Mr. Took, now he can't stand up anymore, can you? He understood, he was silent for a moment, then said. I'm sorry, Princess Hai, even so, you cannot go outside. She turned her face back, her face was sad, she said. Since childhood, the people around me, whether good or bad, whether I like them or not, will suddenly disappear, never to be seen again. Do you understand my feelings? That feeling of uncertainty, that loneliness and loss. I want to go see Mr. Took once, maybe this is the last meeting. He was surprised to see that expression on the princess's face, he stared at her. She continued to plead for herself to go out, even if only once. I'm sorry, he, the bodyguard, said the final words and then closed the room door. She just stood there looking at the tightly closed door, tears streaming down her face. Although he had decided to close the door, he still hesitated in front of the princess's room. He instructed his subordinates, from now on he would guard the door directly. At the princess's mansion, the leopard cub went in alone first to scout the situation. After a while, it came out and reported that the princess was not in the mansion. As Huan predicted, the number of guards here had decreased a lot, and there were very few palace ladies. Perhaps Fu had taken Hai to a safe place. But Huan thought for a long time, he could not think of any place, he always had a feeling of unease. Huan thinks of Mr. Took, he believes that he would know the whereabouts of Pu and Hai. Outside the Tuan Ton Kak, Nok realizes that there are many people here who are not easy to deal with in disguise. Huan feels that Mr. Took is inside, so the two of them decide to act at night. After being captured and locked in a room again, Princess Hai finds a way to sneak out. She laughs with delight because it was too easy to escape. However, Hai doesn't know when Heap has been standing behind her. He lifts Hai up with one hand, despite her struggling and screaming, demanding Heap to know what courtesy is. Hai reluctantly agrees, wanting Heap to let her go. In exchange, she will help him with one thing in the future. Heap sighs, then puts his cloak over Hai's head. He leans in close and says, "Cover your conspicuous hair, and then you must always stay close to me. You are not allowed to talk and must follow my arrangements, understand?" Princess Hai smiles and replies, "Yes, I understand." However, whether with the identity of Prince Heap or Princess Hai, both of them are not allowed to enter. Because according to King Pu's order, only he is allowed to enter, anyone who opposes will be killed immediately. After going a little further, Hai says there is no need to waste words with them, just climb the wall directly to get in. However, Heap disagrees, because there are many masters in disguise here, he could be defeated by any random person. Hai forces Heap to take her inside. Heap also gets angry, because he is crazy to bring her out. Hai grumbles, "You quickly think of a way, you quickly think of a way." Suddenly, a stranger appears and approaches Hai from behind. Heap immediately pulls her behind him. Heap raises his sword to block, however, that person can block with one hand, with his strength, he can't pull the sword out. Heap immediately lets go of the sword and retreats from this person. He realizes that he can't fight this person, he turns around and shouts loudly. Hai runs fast, however, while he is fighting, Hai hugs the opponent's side and cries, "Big brother, I miss you so much." "Hai, I miss you too. It's great, I found you." Hearing Hai call that person Big Brother, but clearly, this is not King Pu. His head became confused. Suddenly, Nok came and hit his head with a sword, saying, "Not an enemy." Heap stuttered because he thought someone was attacking Hai, so he was tense. Heap guessed that the person was King Huan. However, the person in front of him did not resemble the gloomy King Huan he remembered. King Huan had been pierced through the heart by King Fu, and his body was rumored to have been taken away by a bird. No matter how he looked, Heap only saw Nok as a normal person. Huan said, "You are Heap, right? I remember you. You have grown up." Heap did not expect Huan to remember him. After being thanked by Huan for protecting Hai, Heap blushed. After a reunion, Huan asked Hai if she knew where Fu had gone, but Hai also did not know. Hai said that Fu recently told her to stay in truck though too and not to go out. Hai also said she wanted to visit Mr. Took because his current situation was not good. Nok said she would lure the guards so everyone could get in. Huan said he would meet Nok near the pond in the courtyard. Seeing Nok so confident, Heap unexpectedly said, "How can you do it alone?" As soon as he finished speaking, Nok spread her large wings and flew into the air, surprising Heap and Hai. In Tuan Ton Kak, the royal doctor reported that the medicine was useless. Perhaps preparations for Mr. Took's funeral should be made. Finally, they got to see Mr. Took. Hai hugged Mr. Took and cried bitterly, and Huan also couldn't help but shed tears. Mr. Took was thin and haggard, and his body was losing vitality. Mr. Took tried to sit up and wanted to touch Princess Hai's face carefully. Mr. Took praised her, saying she had become more beautiful as she grew older. At this moment, there was a joyful shout, "Huan is here, he has also come to visit." Huan stepped forward and held Mr. Took's hand. Mr. Took was happy that Huan was safe. Seeing that Mr. Took's health was not good and his eyes still could not see, Huan asked, "Didn't Fu find medicine for you?" Mr. Took said he was used to it, so it was okay, and his life had been long enough. Huan, in a panic, says he will find the best medicine for the elder and find the best doctor for him. The elder, Took, immediately stops him, saying that Pu also didn't listen and went to find medicine. Pu said he was going to find the doctor from that year. Took further explains to Huan that when Pu went to Van Nam to fight that year, he accidentally met a doctor who gave Pu medicine. Huan now knows that in this complicated situation, Pu went to Van Nam to find medicine for the elder Took. The elder asks about Huan's situation. Huan happily says that he is living very well, has been to many places, and has experienced many interesting things. He has met many people, and they all treat him well. He has read many books that are not in the palace and has learned many new things. Huan says he has many more stories to tell. He really wants the elder to see him now. Huan hugs the elder's arm and cries, and the elder Took pats Huan's face. He has changed, he has grown up. Or it can also be said, he has returned to being the curious and enthusiastic child of the past. The elder is very happy for him. Suddenly, Huan shouts out, saying he has met Took's younger brother. That person comes from Van Kwok, his name is Lak Min, and he looks very much like the elder. He says he will come to find the elder. At this point, the elder Took also sheds tears of joy. He thanks Huan for bringing him all the good news. He is really very happy. After so many years, he almost forgot his real name. He almost forgot his younger brother too. He believes that he will meet his younger brother soon. Took wipes away his tears. He says he wants Huan and Hai to play a song for him. Mr. Took lies on the bed, listening to the duet. Amid the melodious music, he recalls past memories. He remembers that he has a younger brother. He remembers his real name is Lak Tuk. Time has passed for so long, it seems like memories from a past life. Suddenly, they come back to his mind. It's so good, so good. Mr. Tuk falls asleep tiredly. The maid cries and rejoices because it's been a long time since Mr. Tuk has been happy and talkative. She asks Juan, will King Po find a cure for Mr. Tuk? However, Juan can't be sure. Nok says she knows that divine doctor, it's not easy to find him, only he comes to find people, others can't find him. As for the eye cure, it might be eye exchange, taking eyes, exchanging lifespan, taking lifespan. Juan is surprised, so Pu's left eye is due to exchanging eyes for medicine to treat Mr. Tuk. Suddenly, a small bird brings Nok a letter. In the letter, the sender writes, you can come to Van Namha to find me. Princess Hai wants to go with Juan, but both Heap and Juan disagree because it's too dangerous. Juan advises Hai to return to Truk though too, and Mr. Tuk at Tuan Ton Kak also has elite soldiers guarding safely. Juan asks Heap to take care of his sister and warns him to strengthen the defense because Lam Hao might rebel. Juan also tells him to report this if King Po returns. The two brothers hug each other to say goodbye. I will return soon, just wait for my return. Leaving Tuan Ton Kak, lying in Nok's warm arms, Juan buries his face in her chest and quietly sheds tears. When his father passed away, he didn't cry, but now he can't hold back his tears for Mr. Tuk. In the vast forest in Van Nam, Po and his army search the entire forest, but still can't find any trace of the divine doctor riding a dog in the past. Po orders the soldiers to continue searching. The general advises Po to let the soldiers continue searching, and he should return, because King Po has left the capital for quite a long time. Po decided to stay for 2 more days. If he still couldn't find it, he would return. How did Lak Min's people get covered in blood while on duty? He eagerly asked the blonde girl if she had completed her mission. She said they had to wait to meet them. Lak Min didn't know why, but he felt uneasy about something. A week later, they finally reached the Van Nam River. Standing in front of a big tree, suddenly there was a loud noise around. A giant dog approached them, and Juan shouted in surprise. He had read about the spiral nose in books, it was too big. The dog looked at Juan, then pointed its nose at him. Juan cautiously looked at Nok, received approval, and gently touched and stroked its tail. The dog also enthusiastically responded, and suddenly a voice sounded. It seems that Kako really likes you, it's rare. Juan turned around and called Nok. Hearing that, a man appeared, laughing loudly. Now your name is Nok, it's a very elegant name. Nok introduced this person as the one, named Pho Cat. Seeing is believing, Juan Vong Pho Cat said, please come in. Then, the dog wrapped its tail around Juan's waist and lifted him onto its back. Juan crawled inside. Here is a whole house full of medicine and medical equipment, it feels like an illusion, not on the back of a dog anymore. Pho Cat called Juan to another room, he was cooking some kind of medicine, the smoke was thick. Juan was about to start a conversation, but he signaled for silence, then added more ingredients to the pot of medicine. I know why you came to find me. What do you want to know, what do you want to ask for? Drink this, you will have the answer. Seeing the thing in the bowl was a bit scary, but Juan smelled a gentle fragrance, like bamboo, and a bit of chrysanthemum. Juan picked up the bowl, drank it all in one gulp, it had no smell, just like normal water. Suddenly, Juan saw a forest. Unintentionally, Pho Cat was picking herbs, then from behind, a blood-soaked man intended to attack him with an axe. Immediately, an arrow stuck straight into him. Pho screamed. You don't want to live anymore, don't you know that this place is at war? Get out of here quickly. Juan realized, this was Pho Cat's memory. Leaving the forest, Juan came to a bloody battlefield, dead bodies were scattered. Pho was also lying there, covered in blood. Pho Cat walked over, looked at Pho and smiled. Because Pho had saved Pho Cat, he took Pho back, treated all the wounds, and only one eye was left. Pho asked him if he could be cured, because it was almost gouged out. Pho Cat confidently said, there is nothing I can't do. Pho immediately asked, so what if I ask someone to cure someone else's eyes? Pho Cat said it was possible, but he had to exchange something else with him. That is to exchange Pho's eye. As a result, Pho got the eye medicine for Mr. Tuk, holding the pill in his hand. Pho smiled happily. This was the first time Juan saw such a warm smile from Pho. Juan wondered, this is really my younger brother, he cares about Mr. Tuk. Because of him, my brother did not hesitate to exchange his eye. I realize, until now, I have never understood my brother. Every day in the palace, I just indulge in my own useless sadness. Never thought of others, my father, my mother, my younger brother, my wife. We don't really understand anyone. Juan is on the verge of tears. In front of him, Pho stands there, extremely happy with the pill in his hand. Pho, in fact, I have a lot of things I want to say to you. However, Pu's figure gradually fades away, disappearing in front of Juan. Despite Juan's screams, "Don't go, wait for me, don't go." At this time, Faux Cat speaks up. He has his own destiny, and his younger brother has his own destiny. As for your master, his fate has long since ended. Even if you use a life to exchange for a life, it can only prolong a little time. Why must you do that? Prolonging the dying breath is not a good thing. What you need to do now is to play music for him. Complete the music score that he left for you. There are things that you have to face and let go. This, in fact, should be told to your younger brother.